Hey guys, we're going to be going back to the Heavenly Flames Elite version, or the hard mode Scorn of Bahamut, whatever you want to call it. If you're looking for my quick clear that does all missions in 15 turns, I'll put a link to the my first clear video, but this is going to be more of the budget run. Just fair warning, we are not going to be getting it in 15 turns. In fact, this team is going to be a very slow clear. But this is for those of you that don't have the good tanks, excuse me, don't have a powerful team, but you really want to get that material, you want to get the kill in. This should get you 2 out of 3 missions, although fair warning, it'll be pretty slow. So we're going to be going, or I'm going to be putting a link to an image of the turn chart I'm going to be using so you can follow it along. This is going to be a basically repeating 15 turn cycle, and I'll show you how to deal with all the dangerous turns, how to deal with Terra Flare and all that. And I'll try to explain the substitutions for the units that I'm going to be using if you don't have the specific units. So for one important thing is we're going to need Mastermind Zahn on Phoenix, the Esper. We're also going to need our healer. The healer needs to be able to cast a water and fire resist buff. We're going to use Myra because she also regenerates mana, which makes this a little bit more convenient. You can use any healer you want. If you have Yuna, the 5-star Yuna, she has Re-Raise, Dual Cast, Bar Farega, and Bar Waterer all in her kit. So Yuna is amazing for this. But I kind of wanted to use a more universal unit instead of one specific unit. So we're going to use Myra. We're going to give her Dual Cast. We're going to put her on Leviathan for Water Resist. And she has Re-Raise and Fire Resist in her kit naturally. You could also put resist espers on 2 different people. Like you could give Shadow Carbuncle for fire resist if you're using, like let's say you're using Ayaka, who has re-raise, but your healer needs re-raise and access to those resist buffs. And actually, if your gear is good enough to gear your tank and enough resist without buffs, then you don't need buffs at all. Anyway, so we're going to use a magical cover tank. Now you can use any magical cover tank you want. The requirement is you've got to gear them to 350% fire and water resist after a buff. They also need guts. So we're going to use Cecil just because it's Cecil, he's cool and all. We're not using any STMRs on him. Actually, we are using one STMR, the Marie, really old one because it gives 30 resist. But hopefully most of you can gear this. This is pretty accessible to gear. So we're going to be using a 70% fire and a 70% water buff. So we're going to go with 280 or better fire and water, and Cecil has guts in his kit naturally. Now notice we're not using his TMR. That means he's not going to be able to ever dual cast or change stance. It doesn't matter. He can do everything he needs to do with his base form and no dual cast. So he's going to cover all the magical attacks and die a whole lot. So apologies in advance to Cecil for abusing him like this. He's going to die a lot. Now you could swap him out for Sacred Shield Charlotte. She has guts. You could do does Lucas have guts? I don't know. But you could also use any magical tank you want if you can gear them for enough resist and then equip them with the guts. So for example, like, Queen's STMR or Chocobo Fina's STMR, etc. Here's the healer. You want a little bit of Esper fill if possible, so we're going to use like 2 or 3 pieces. You need to be able to automatically fill your Esper gauge within 3 turns. So you need like a minimum of 3-ish Esper fill across the entire team, which is not too hard. That's like 2 or 3 TMRs. So we just gave her some spirit. We gave her some auto limit. We gave her 12 auto limit so she can just fill her LB gauge more quickly for more mana regen. That's optional. Well, we gave her a dual cast because she does not have dual cast naturally. Also, I should mention the entire team needs to be immune to confusion. So if the units are not confuse immune naturally, make sure you equip them for confusion immunity. Buffs will not work because the boss is going to dispel your buffs and then confuse you. So they got to be immune naturally from gear or innates. Mastermind Zahn is really important for the strategy because he has a 1-turn hide. We have him on Phoenix. Honestly, he's really going to be just here to recover the really deadly turns where the whole team dies. He's going to hide on that turn and come back in Phoenix and bring us back. So there we go. That's all it really matters for him. And we gave him a dagger and a sword so we can help break the gauge a little bit and a little bit of mana regen. We gave his TMR so he can triple cast the gauge breaking. It's going to contribute slightly. We gave him a little bit of mana regen. I've said that twice now. Yeah. Now we're going to use Assassin Shadow. Now, mine's Neovision's Awakening. Yours is not to be. He has everything he needs for this strategy in his 5-star form. So if you only have one single copy of Assassin's Shadow, that's all you need. One copy is plenty. Now, of course, if he's Neo Vision's Awakening, he can do things like break the gauge and speed up the fight, which is very helpful. But all we need him to do is to provoke the physical attacks and be able to do a 1-turn hide as well. So, he also needs guts. Now, this is where it gets a little bit less budget, where you have to have a source of guts for him. We gave him Chocobo Feather because it gives mana regen. You could also use Queen STMR. You could use the Reno Free STMR if you have it. That's only a 95% chance. It has a 5% chance to fail, and on a long fight, you don't really want to take that risk. But if you have no better options, well, you have no better options. We also need him to be full passive provoke. That's going to be a little bit important as well for the strategy. So again, tricky to build if you don't have the passive provoke gear. Actually, could he active provoke on those turns, now that I think about it? He could. We actually don't need passive provoke at all. We don't need passive provoke. So we're gonna take this off. We don't even need this. If you have it, it is more convenient, so I suggest you leave it on. Don't take it off like I'm doing. But and we're gonna give him just some more mana regen because Shadow is like really mana hungry for this strategy. So we're gonna give him a bunch of MP haste if I can find them. MP haste. I crafted 50 of these on that raid for MP regen. Yeah. So all he really needs is some MP regen and guts. 5-star works, and we're dual wielding katanas to speed up the fight. That is optional. It just speeds it up. If you don't have his Neo Vision's Awakening, the 5-star works for what we need to do. And make sure he's Confuse Immune. We put him on Golem for Confuse Immunity, although I guess because we're not using the passive provoke, you could give him a ribbon as well. That works. And then some DPS. We're going to bring 2 chainers. I'm going for full lazy mode, so I'm just bringing 2 chainers that are going to just chain every single turn, and it allows me to just push repeat. On a long fight, you don't really want units with a complicated rotation, so we're just going with Lastwell. He imperils fire and ice while chaining triple cast. And we're taking a Riku friend that chains, his chains break the boss to keep the defense broken. It's just convenient. It allows me to hit repeat every single turn. But bring any 2 combo of DPS you want. You could bring, a tag chainer and a Lastwell Reagan friend and cap the LB every now and then. You could bring whatever you want. Just bring 2 chainers. Now I am gearing these in STMRs and all to speed it up. If you don't have good gear for your chainers, it would just be slower clear. We're not getting the 15-turn clear anyway. And give them a lot of mana regen because we are going to be kind of, consuming a lot of mana. And make sure they have confusion immunity. And we're equipping a fire weapon to not have to worry about imbues. We're also using an auto buff for attacks. We have the permanent attack buff. Again, full lazy mode. I'm taking my own Riku, but, whatever. I geared him with a fire weapon. I geared him with... not that. I geared him with automatic attack buff, and he's got some killers and some mana regen, so he can just chain every turn for lazy mode. Okay, let's go ahead and get into this fight, and I'll show you the 15-turn rotation and how you're going to do every single turn. And I'm probably not going to show the entire fight until I kill him, because this is going to be a slow clear, something like 30, 40 turns. I'm only going to show you the basics, and then you can do the rest on your own. So turn 1, we're going to just cover magic with the tank. Shadow is going to, if your Shadow is only 5-star, you would just cast Illusion Maneuver, which is a 5-star skill. But because ours is NVA, we can cast Illusion Maneuver, and we can start breaking the gauge to speed up the fight a little bit. Zahn has nothing to do here. So most turns, he's just going to triple cast Grand Waylay to help break the gauge. And I'm casting that one because it's relatively quick, and it's like Vicious Strike is better to break the gauge, but it takes forever to finish per turn. Grand Waylay breaks the gauge less, but it's quicker. So your magic, your healer, needs to dual cast Re-Raise this turn on your tank and your Shadow. And then the chainers or your DPS are going to just do their thing. We're going to just chain literally every turn. So we set these up. And for the rest of the turn, we're just going to hit reload for those 2. So the damage is going to be very poor until the gauge breaks. And even when the gauge is broken, the damage is still going to be very poor. This is going to be a slow clear. This is the budget clear. You will win eventually. The boss does not heal or anything. So there's the thing with the Shadow. He mirages the 3 attacks with his provoke. Then he gutses the 4th one and re-raises the 5th one from your Myra. So we can just now we can swap Shadow to just triple casting Gauge Break. And if your Shadow is 5-star, he would not be able to contribute the Gauge Breaking. You know, whatever. And then we can just repeat these two. Just refresh the re-raise and refresh the cover. So turn 2 is going to be a double Atomic Ray. The first one is going to kill our tank, who is then going to re-raise. Then he's going to die again. But he's going to cover the team, so all that really matters is we're covering the team. We're fine. So turn 3, there's no damage, so this is basically a free turn. So we can just use our healer to get the tank back alive. We can just reload our DPS, and we can keep chaining. So turn 3 is a free turn, as you can see. Nothing happens. Alright, so turn 4, we need to put cover back up on our tank. Alright, we need to re-raise our tank. And the rest of the DPS can just do their thing. Are we going to break the gauge this turn? Probably not. No, we didn't. Okay, so we're just going to keep chaining. Slow and steady wins the race. Oh, that damage. So good. Alright. Mega Flare. Tank dies. Tank comes back. We're fine. Let's continue. So turn 5 is a little bit... Let me see. Change one thing on my list. Turn 5, we're going to need to cover again on our magic tank. And this turn, we need fire resist. Your tank needs to hit 350 fire resist on this turn. So we're going to use Myra. She actually has fire resist in her kit. And we need re-raise on the tank. So we're going to do live concert to re-raise. And we're going to do roaring crowd for the fire resist. We're going to go ahead and break the gauge on with our chainers. Now because the gauge is broken, even though we're using a 7-star tank with almost no bulk gear equipped, the boss deals such low damage when the gauge is broken, he might not even kill Cecil. If he doesn't, it's totally fine. It really doesn't matter either way. But we're going to pretend like Cecil's going to die and re-raise every turn. So the first attack, we're completely immune to. This will never kill your tank. We're immune to fire. Then the second attack didn't kill Cecil because the gauge is broken currently. When the gauge is not broken, that's going to super kill Cecil. He would re-raise from the re-raise we gave him. So we're going to assume he died, and we would just cover again on this turn. Shadow can just put up a Katana in peril to help speed up damage a tiny amount. Zahn can do whatever. We'll keep chaining. And turn 6, we need our tank to be at 350 water resist and re-raise. So we're going to dual cast, and remember, we're on Leviathan for water resist, so 70% water resist, and let's re-raise our tank. So once again, because the boss is broken, it's possible he doesn't even kill the tank here, but the Cecil is pretty low, so we probably will, but we'll see. And we're immune to the water attack, and the second attack kills, well, it doesn't kill. When the gauge isn't broken on like your second rotation, third rotation, etc., it's going to kill your tank. He had to re-raise. He would have come right back anyway. Okay, so turn 7 is a little bit of a special turn. This is going to be a double, a 4 times single target attack. So we're going to do this to deal with this. We're going to provoke with our first tank, Cecil, and then we're going to provoke with Shadow. Now, if Shadow was wearing passive provoke, we actually wouldn't even need to use provoke. But and we can just keep breaking the gauge. The gauge is already broken, actually. But whatever. You would just single cast the provoke with that. And we're going to re-raise both of those tanks. So we're going to re-raise Cecil and re-raise Shadow. The gauge is coming back this turn, so they are definitely going to die. But they're going to be okay. Don will do his thing, and let's keep chaining. Okay, so here we go. And make sure your real tank, like Cecil, is not passive provoking. So he's going to get hit twice, die, come back. Then Shadow's provoking, gets hit twice, comes back, he guts. There it is. We're fine on turn 7. Yeah, if Cecil was passive provoking when he died and came back, he might still take hits. That's why you don't want your real tank to be passive provoke. You want Shadow to be the passive provoker. Okay, so turn 8, the boss is going to do nothing at all. If one of your tanks had possibly died, twice on that turn, somehow maybe the boss, was not cooperating, you would use your healer to raise them on this turn. But because no one died, we'll just use Myra to LB for some mana regen. Because Riku, as you see, Riku is slowly actually spending more mana than he's gaining. So we're going to go ahead and use Myra to top him back off. And we're going to start breaking that gauge again. Like I said, the boss isn't doing anything this turn, so it doesn't really matter. Cecil, I mean, it doesn't really matter what he does. You can cover, whatever. It's irrelevant. We'll just cover with Cecil for the sake of it. But the boss isn't doing anything this turn. Okay, so now it's going to be Giga Flare. So on Giga Flare, this is an important turn. Now we need to hide, because it's very likely he wipes out your team here. You could do things like AoE re-raise and raise the tank and cover, and this would be okay. We're going to assume you're not using someone with AoE re-raise. Like if you're using Yuna as your healer, she doesn't have AoE re-raise. So, Myra could, but we're not going to. So we're going to stealth our Zahn, and we're going to stealth or hide our Shadow. And the rest of the team can do whatever. We'll just do that. We'll just guard. And we will just keep chaining because, that's what we do. Okay. Here comes Giga Flare. It's going to probably kill Cecil and then kill the rest of the team. Not a problem. Not a problem. And then our 2 units come back. Okay, so this is where we needed to have Zahn on Phoenix. Let's go ahead and AoE raise the team. Now turn 10 is going to be a single target physical turn. We're going to use Shadow to illusion maneuver. Now again, if he's 5-star, he would just do that, but because ours is NVA, we can also break the gauge to try to speed this up a tiny amount. So Shadow is going to once again eat Mirage 3 hits, he's going to Guts the 4th hit, and then he's going to die on the 5th hit. He doesn't have re-raise right now, so he's going to die and stay dead. Not a problem. So turn 11. Turn 11, we are going to... this is a double Ray turn. So we're going to cover with our Magic Tank. We're going to have Myra dual cast. We're going to re-raise on Cecil. And then we're going to go ahead and get Shadow back off so we can help break that gauge some more a little bit later. Our DPS can go back to what they were doing. They're going to just keep breaking that gauge. We're going to Grand Waylay to break that gauge. Now, the second gauge break, as you can see, it's only 84% currently. It is super slow. So like I mentioned, this is not going to be a quick clear. This is one of those really, really slow clears, nostalgia back for the original fight of Igon, where you took like 500 turns to win. But there we go. He covers both of those, and he dies twice. Not a problem. So turn 12 is going to be a water ice turn. I'm just realizing. Oh yeah. Never mind. So we're gonna go ahead and hide Zahn on turn 12. This is important because we're gonna die again because the tank is dead. So we can't really get him to cover this turn. If you're using Shoreline Fina and Daisy, you could, but this is a budget run. We're not using her. So the whole team's going to die, but we're hiding Zahn. We don't need Shadow. We don't need Shadow when we come back, so we're going to let him just stay here and keep breaking the gauge. So we're going to break the gauge, and we'll just go ahead and do an LB with Myra. We're going to leave Cecil dead because he's going to die anyway. So this turn, the whole team is dead again, but Zahn is hiding, so it's okay. And because we were using some autofill Esper gauge, we've got Phoenix again ready to go. Goodbye, team. Nice knowing you. Okay. Turn 13, the boss is only going to use Dispel and not attack. So this is a perfect turn to Phoenix and recover this disaster. So there we go. We are back with Phoenix again. And there's an AoE Dispel. We lost all our buffs. Not a big deal. Alright, turn 14 is going to be an Earth attack. So we're going to go ahead and... It's only a single attack, though. So we'll cover Cecil, and we'll go ahead and just re-raise Cecil because he's super dead. Zahn will just help break the gauge with Grand Waylay. Shadow will just triple Shadow Stab to break the gauge. This gauge is obnoxious. And we'll keep chaining through the gauge. And now you can kind of see why I wanted super lazy mode chainers that can just push repeat every turn, because this is a little wonky. So here comes the earthquake. Goodbye, Cecil. Welcome back, Cecil. And now he's getting ready for Terror Flare. So as you can imagine, Terror Flare is a terrible thing. So we'll go ahead and use Myra on this turn to re-raise on Shadow. Let me actually mark that in my list so people know. Alright, so re-raise Shadow. Shadow is now going to hide from Terror Flare. We're going to hide Zahn from Terror Flare. And we're going to go ahead and keep chaining, just a little chipping a little bit of damage. I mean, Cecil can cover, but this team is super dead. Terror Flare time. And he cast this 9 times. He's going to stop casting it because the team's dead at this point. But if anyone survives, he casts that 9 times until everyone is dead. He's a jerk on turn 15. But we're okay. So again, on turn 16, the rotation repeats. We are back on turn 1 on our turn chart. And the only difference is from our original clear on turn 1 is that, as you can see, everyone's dead. Oops. Okay, not a problem though. We're going to Phoenix. Everyone's back. But on turn 1, the boss does the physical attacks, which Shadow is going to just provoke. Or, you know, if you're Neo Visions, you provoke with Illusion Maneuver, and then we keep breaking that gauge a little bit. And because we re-raised Shadow on the turn 15, he still got it. So he's going to go ahead and take 3. He's going to Mirage 3 times. He's going to Guts the 4th attack. He's going to die in the 5th and re-raise. And here we are. We are back on the rotation. The entire thing repeats. We did 12%. And yeah, so turn 2, or 17, or turn 2 is an Atomic Flare turn. So we're going to go ahead and cover the tank. We're going to re-raise the tank. We're going to start breaking the gauge. Well, we're going to triple. We're going to start breaking. And again, if you're patient, Vicious Strike does break more of the gauge. It just takes forever with the animation, and I don't want to deal with that. Shadow will just go back to triple Shadow Stab. And we keep slowly working this boss down. Let's see here. Yep. And then we die 1 time, we re-raise, we die again, and there it is. So I'm going to go ahead and stop the video here because this is literally no change. This is a slow budget run for this fight. If you have terrible units, this will get it done. It just depends on your patience. If you have good patience, this will get it. If not, I'll have another budget run that is, well, I'll have an alternate run once they fix the passive, the tag unit passives. I've got a plan that can beat this fight with just a friend unit, or just a friend Lastwell Reagan, and then a bunch of support units that can do it in one burst phase. But for that to work, we have to have that passive bonus damage fixed for a friend Lastwell Reagan to carry the fight. So a better budget run will be out after the passive bug is fixed, which will probably be 2 or 3 weeks away. But there you go. So here is the budget way to do, the really slow but easy way to do hard mode Bahamut. If you want the quick budget way, once the tag chainers are fixed, I'll be coming back. So hopefully this has been informative. I will see you guys next time.